Hello, tonight I would like to look at a passage in Job chapter 1, verse 20 with you. Many of you might already know the story of Job, but I'll review a few points that happened in his life that lead up to verse 20. Job lived in the land of Uz. He's described as a blameless and upright man, one who feared God and turned away from evil, all things that we strive for today. He had a big family. He had 7 sons and 3 daughters. Was blessed with numerous animals. He had sheep, camels, oxen, donkeys, and many, many servants to help take care of the animals in the land. He was a very blessed man, and among the people of that time, he was known as the greatest of all the people in the East. So one day the Lord was speaking with Satan and told him that there was none like Job on all the earth. And Satan answered the Lord in Job chapter 1, verse 9. He answered the Lord and said, "Does Job fear God for no reason? Have you not put a hedge around him and his house and all that he has on every side? You have blessed the work of his hands, and his possessions have increased in the land. But stretch out your hand and touch all that he has, and he will curse you to your face." So in essence, Satan said, "Sure, Job follows what you say. He follows you. He's a great servant, but you give him everything he wants. Take that away from him, and he will curse you." So God allowed Satan to test Job. He lost his servants. Satan took away all of his sheep, his camels, and then a great wind came where his children were, and the house fell upon them and killed all 10 of his children. Verse 20 is where we get the reaction when Job just found out that his children had died. And Job chapter 1 verse 20 says, "And Job arose and tore his robe and shaved his head and fell on the ground and worshipped." This is a relatively short verse in English. The Old Testament originally was written in Hebrew, and in Hebrew this verse consists of just 9 words in the Hebrew text. So much is said in just 9 words, and of these 9 words in Hebrew, 5 of them are verbs. They are action words. Job's response is one that we can learn from today when we're coping with loss. And not just death, but it could be stress, it could be anything that's bothering you or anything that's pulling you away from God. So let's look at these 5 verbs of Job's reaction to finding out that he had just lost virtually everything. The first thing Job did is he arose. When bad things happen, there's a temptation that we have to just sit in them, to just sit there, feel sorry for ourselves, become stagnant. But Job arose. The first thing we must do is get up and deal with the heartache that we've been dealt. The second thing Job did is he tore his mantle or tore his robe. A mantle was an outer covering that was worn by people of power or people of greatness during that time. It was customary at that time to tear or rip your robe as a sign of grief. I think it's also a reminder that Job's wealth or greatness was meaningless to him at a time when he just lost his children. Tribulations and loss are good reminders for us to remember what is important in our lives and who is important in our lives. The third thing we see is Job shaved his head. This is another customary sign of mourning during Job's time. It also shows his humanity. It shows his sorrow. It shows us that it's okay to be sad. It's okay to be upset. It's okay to mourn. Job showed sorrow using the customary ways of his time and natural grief. And after he did this, he fell. He fell on the ground. Falling to the ground is when you're at your lowest point. You feel helpless, defeated. Job fell to the ground as a sign of humility, a sign of submission, a sign of recognition that without God, we are no better than one who is on the ground, stagnant, mourning, helpless. Job fell to the ground in submission to his God. And the last thing we see is that Job worshiped. The ultimate example for us when times are hard. We have the choice to blame God, to ignore God, or to be like Job and worship God. I find so much comfort in the strength and the example that Job had. A simple verse in the Bible, a verse originally consisting of 9 words with 5 verbs that teach us how to deal with adversity. I ask you to think on Job's example this week And I ask you to follow his example to help you get through difficulties that you're dealing with. If you have not become a child of God, please contact us to set up a Bible study or ask us any questions that you have or things that you don't understand. In Job 14, verse 14, Job asks the most important question in the Bible. If a man dies, shall he live again? And this question is answered in John 14 when Jesus is talking to Thomas. Beginning in verse 1 of John 14, let not your hearts be troubled. Believe in God. Believe also in me. In my Father's house are many rooms. If it were not so, would I have told you that I go to prepare a place for you? And if I go and prepare a place for you, I will come again and will take you to myself, that where I am, you may be also. Jesus is preparing a place for you. He wants you to come to him. He wants you to be saved and spend eternity with him in heaven. My prayer is that we will all submit to him, obey him, and live our lives in a way that we will be with him when that day comes. I thank you for your time.